morning, afternoon, and evening. It's Thursday, a day away from Friday. And in some in New Zealand and so forth, it's already Friday evening. So it's like, wow, they're already there. Anyhow, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And let's see what we got going on this morning. I see the natural gas prices coming down in Europe, which is a nice thing. That was insane when it jumped up to $33. It looks like it's dropped at least 50% so far, so that's a good thing. Once the Russians started to, I guess, transport natural gas through the pipelines, it drove prices down. So that's a really positive thing there. Coming on to the winter, and having gas prices here in the States blow up to about $6.50, and in Europe it blew up to over $33. That's wild, just wild. But it's nice to see it backing off here now, and it's just a just a tough time there to see that happen. All right, let's check it out. On the dollar side of things, things are getting a little weirder. They're buying the dollar again. I thought they were going to go after the bottom end of the range in the Swiss. I mean, I thought it was doing that. There's the bottom end of the range. I was like, Euro's banging against its bottom end of the range. You got all this talk about inflation. Yesterday's numbers come out, and they show the inflation, at a 30-year high. Same thing in China. It's at a 26-year high. So it was like, wow, we're seeing this inflation number pick up, and at the same time, we thought, okay, well, maybe they're going to get rid of dollars, But no, it seemed like the flight to safety again. Even when we're the problem, America is the problem with the inflation in a certain aspect of it, especially on itself, not necessarily globally, but definitely on its own. The inflation in the States is going back to the Jimmy Carter years, where in the 1970s, where they just passed policies and push policies and enforce policies that hinder economics. And next thing you know is you get inflation, and there's enormous amounts of cash floating around, chasing fewer and fewer items or goods, or however you want to describe it. And so when we look at the Swiss franc here, we're a little surprised in the sense that we thought it was really going to go and challenge the bottom end of the range. We thought we were going to see some strength in the product. As you can see here, it's been moving down now for a couple days. You see the red hinky ashes on the Swiss. Same situation over here in Chicago Quant. Wait a minute. That must be the weekly. I was going to say, that doesn't make sense. It's not matching up. That's why we do that. We look at both of them just to see. There we go. There's the daily. Moving up, just like over here on Chicago Quant. And, the weekly, you can see the blue line, which is this is a super. So, right there, it's the 5. And so the 5 is the plot 1 of a 5. That's what the blue is. Whereas the white is a plot 1 of the 3. So we see that's starting to advance. We're starting to see that move up. That means the dollar is getting stronger. Again, I scratch my head and go, what? But then I guess, when you really think about it, as much as I want to say that doesn't make sense, it does make sense. Imagine if you're a money manager and you have, you're managing just a few $1 billion or maybe even more, and you're in Europe or outside the United States, and all you're trying to do is get a return on your money, and you're paying to have your cash, maybe 300-400 million of it, sitting in negative returns. So now you got to reach up and buy something that pays, better than zero. And we do. In the United States, we have a lot of products that are paying dividends in the 1.5-2.5% area, some as high as 3 and change. So, they're quality stocks and companies, if there is such a thing to measure by, but they are quality. And so, what it comes down to is that, I guess they're going to sell other pairs and buy dollars again. And you can see here, this time, I'm not sure if the inflation scare is not like an arrow pointing in direction. In other words, maybe the dollar's going to be stronger than we expect. Because it's a place to hide. It's a place to run to. And we watch the markets every day through our math. So it's not like my math is screaming, okay, I'm just trying to interpret how this action goes. And if this thing goes up to the top end of that range in the Swiss and starts making higher highs from there, you have to really wonder. They're going to set up a new range. This range here has lasted for over a year and a half. But they're going to probably establish a new range because dollars are going to be more in demand, because they give a return, they have a profit, compared to most euro investments. I'm sure that the stocks in Europe are paying a return on some level, but the bonds don't. And see here in the States, our bonds do. Matter of fact, the curve is starting to flatten out. So like the 2-year bond is starting to reflect more than the 5-year bond. So in other words, they're anticipating price increases or increased interest payments. In other words, they're going to raise the rates, going out over the next year. So the 2-year bond is showing a lot of strength. Kata, how you doing this morning? Hello, everyone is a nice way to start the day by saying hello, everyone. That's so nice. We're all doing fine here, I would assume. I feel like we're doing fine. We're just trying to interpret the inflation thing. That thing, the inflation thing. And so we're a little surprised because, the central bank does what it wants to do and we just follow. But, I guess that's my last opinion of all that. Now we look at the math and you can see here it's climbing back up. We're in a daily buy for a couple days. You see it over here on J4X, same thing, some strength there for the last couple days. You see the weekly's trying to pierce up. We'll see. It's been only 4 weeks, since this area here. Now we're pretty much where it went into the weekly sell, above that 92 area. And so, Allah, thank you for saying hello to everyone. I think that's nice. I try to do that always, right from the beginning. Hello, everyone. I think that's a good way. I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. But that's the same thing. So yeah, I guess that's the action we see here. Now let's jump over to Euro. Euro, look at this. This thing's sinking below the bottom end of the range. So the bottom end of the range now is becoming even more leaky, It's got that leaky thing going on. We've been in a weekly sell since the 117 area. And that's right up in here. And we're making lows, and again that's probably where they're running from too, because there's not a lot of return when it comes to the fixed income, the bonds themselves. It's all zeroed. As a matter of fact, you have to pay to own a bond. So in other words, not only do you buy the bond with money, but you pay interest. You don't get interest, you pay interest by buying the bond. I know that sounds crazy. All right, and then we jump over to let's see what it does on J4X real quick, just to confirm. So this way we note it. Things are not inaccurate there. There it is. 114s. Wow. Watching that drop down, it's tough. We had so much hope for Europe, and all Europe has done its best to slow itself down economically over the decades now. It's a shame. From there, we mosey along over to the cable. So let's see what the cable looks like this morning. I saw where they think they could lose like 130,000 workers in the healthcare industry because of this vaccine thing. I don't get it myself. I just don't get it. I mean, if you don't want a vaccine, don't take the vaccine. I don't understand what this driving force is governmentally about everybody having to take a vaccine. Somewhere along, I can say this. I feel very confident in 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, people are going to go, I can't believe they did that to us. It didn't mean anything. They were hurting us. I really do. I think that in 3 or 4 years, people are going to look back and go, what was with this vaccine thing? Why were they persecuting people because they didn't want to have take the vaccine. You know, if it defends people who take the vaccine and they're protected from it, then why would anybody care if you take it? You know, what is the motive there? You know, they claim it's so that they can cure the COVID, but I don't know, can you really cure the common cold? All it is a flu. So I mean, it's like, didn't everybody always say, boy, if you could cure the flu or the common cold, you'd be a billionaire, you know? How many times have you heard people say that? And so why are they so aggressive at doing something that they're not going to be able to cure? They can't cure COVID. They'll never be able to. It's the flu. That's what it is. It's nothing more, no more magical than that. It's just the flu, and they weaponized it. That's all. You know, in other words, they're in China. They just advanced it's a reproductive rate. You know, made it much more productive, like 3 times more productive than the normal flu. So, you know, I'm just perplexed. You know, and I think that's going to resolve itself over time. I mean, good. Go take the shot. You want the shot? Go take the shot. But why do you torture people about it? So that is my opinion about that. And I could see in 3 or 4 years, they'll be like, we don't know why they really pushed so hard for something that wasn't necessary. I mean, especially against the health workers. It seems really vicious when they were willing to work through the mess beforehand. All right, and so you can see here in cable, I heard, like I said, I heard that that's part of the problem is that they may lose 134,000 health workers because of what they're doing. No wonder the currency's dropping. All right. Let's drift over to the Turkish Lira. We saw that pushing up into the buy. And and when it comes to the range on this cable, I don't think we have anything anymore. The range was the 142 area. And now, as you can see, we're at 134. It seems like 134 has been somewhat of a support since back in, where's that? That is in, back in July of about 1.5 years ago, a little bit further back, 1.75 years, almost, it's July of 2020. So, and the 42 range has been somewhat of the top part has been a challenge. You know, it goes up there and stalls out. So, you know, I guess the best thing to say about it all is that it looks like the range is breaking down with that just as much as it's broken down with the euro itself. Now let's go check out Turkish Lira right there. Dollar Turkish Lira to start off with. Right. I just saw it. There it is. And as you can see here on Chicago Quant, you know, it's moving up to another all-time high. What's the high today? The high now is 997. A lot of pressure on the product. You know, it's been a daily buy for a bunch of days, a bunch and bunches of weeks. As you can see here, and we went into the weekly buy back down in here in the 850 area. Now we're threatening 10. Douglas! Hello, everyone, and Douglas. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So, the Turkish Lira moving up. So I'd imagine, you know, just going over to the Euro Turkish Lira, which is so much more insightful. Where are you? Turkish Lira, Euro Turkish Lira. There it is, right there. It's probably banging through the 11 now. I'm just guessing. Yeah, probably threatening into the 1150. That's what we were thinking. Somehow or another, we think we're going to see the 1250 over there, which is like, whoa, 1250. But just the way this thing is going, this is the policy of the president, prime minister / Aragon. You know, higher the better, I guess. I don't know, something like that. Yeah. So now the high now is 1145, almost 1146. Somehow or another, I hear this little voice in my head going 12 and a half, 12 and a half. It's hard to believe, but I don't even have any math to justify it. All's I'm in my head, I don't know why, it just keeps on saying 12 and a half, 12 and a half. So maybe that's what's going to happen. Let's see, morning Doc, let's see, MHB, hello Doc. MHB, how are you doing? Hello everyone in MHB. I'm in a friendly mood. It's Thursday. It's getting ready to go to Friday, so that makes me always happy. We've got a busy weekend as usual. And so, that's the action we're seeing here is the Turkish Lira. They're devaluing it. They're going to get those investors into Turkey one way or the other. They're going to keep on devaluing their currency until, you can buy it cheaper than a bag of peanuts. Well, I bet a bag of peanuts is kind of expensive there. But anyway, I bet, that's where my head's at. You just keep on taking this thing up. And, not much more to be said but that's just incredible action. Euro, kroner. And okay, let's go see what that looks like. Doc likes that. Like looking up stuff. Me likey looking up stuff. And okay. There it is right there. Norwegian kroner. Right there. And as you can see on the J4X, it's marching up with a long run. Now let's check it out over here. Let's see if we have it over here. Dollar, kroner. There's dollar Mexican peso, dollar, could it be that? I think that's the Israeli one. There's the ZAR, there's the Zloty, and let's see, we'll slide it into what? Let's go into that one. I thought we slid it into that one before. Format, instrument. That's the Israeli currency, isn't it? Let's see what the kroner looks like in there. There it is. I just want to see what the ILS is. There we go. And there it is right there. So it's been in a weekly buy. Woo, that's pretty. Let me give it a refresh too. Okay, that's better. So it was in a weekly sell for this slide down here. And then it went into the weekly buy last week. And we're marching up. At the same time, let's widen this out. We've been in a daily buy just for 2 days. Overall, we went into the daily buy back in, was that right there? So it went into a buy. I think that pushed it into the sell. Went right back into the buy again right there. So I guess we could say from there. So let's put that in there. So there's your daily buy. And then it started marching and then went into the weekly buy. What are we running? We're running the, let's see what we're running here. Style. Okay, yeah, so we're running the 5 on that. That should be like that instead. We should do this. Put a dash in there like so. And then that should be green, I guess. This should be green. And this should be white. And the histogram. Let's see how that looks. Does that make more sense? Yeah, so you can see here it was marching up and went into the buy. Now why did it show it that way? Oh, I see, because we were following the 5. I guess it needs that for the beta. So let's just go with the 5. That's what it came down to. So the beta of it is the 5. Let's just go back and look at it. 5 does seem to be the recipe of choice, doesn't it? It goes into a buy here. It stays in a buy all the way for a long while. So it goes into the buy here. And then it goes all the way to there to a sell. That's where the sell is. And then it doesn't get into a buy again until it's going into a buy this week instead, really. Last week, the 5 went into a buy. And this week now, this is going into the buy, and you're in a daily buy. So that kind of gives you heads up warnings, you know. What else can we say about that? I guess that's the beginning of it. This could be an interesting move on the upside here. Let's see, let's scrunch it up. Where's the highs? I guess the highs are in the 9s. So maybe we're going to see something like that in the 9s. How's that? Is that okay, MHP? Excellent. And then LS says euro against the dollar. Let's take a look at that again. Right there. You see it's breaking down well below its range. See that right there? That range has been around for a year and a half. And this inflation thing has really got it shook up, you know? So the pressure's there. We're in the sell from this area here. And so it's down over 3 handles. And we've been in a daily sell, I guess, from here. Let's widen this out up top. Take a look. I see what happened. And we were in a daily sell from here, right there, I guess it is. No, this one right here. We went to a daily sell there, and we got pushed into a buy here, back into the sell there, got pushed back into a buy here, and now we're back into the sell there. So, and we're in a weekly sell, so obviously you don't trade any of the longs. You're only trading the short side, so it's not that bad. It's not like you got trapped on the buys. How's that? Is that all right there? Allah Kata. Kata? I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, so you can see there, that's how the euro's been playing. This whole thing is, you know, with inflation hitting everybody, they're going to readjust. Obviously, they're going to readjust. Even our IRS is starting to readjust for the inflation, changing the financial brackets. So this is, you know, this is turning into a very, very interesting situation overall. We're starting to see, that's my teacup. We're starting to see lots of action that we weren't really expecting to see. But then again, you know, this deflation thing that everybody talked about, and inflation, and what was that other part? It was the, I'm trying to think what that other part was. They had a name for it. What was it? It was a name. It was called transitory. That's it. That transitory thing where they just slowly found a way to put ourselves in that situation where now we're not really sure which way everything's going. So that's where we are. So did everybody happy with what they asked for? The kroner and the dollar and the euro against the dollar and so forth? You can see that we might be sliding down the rabbit hole here. In other words, things might start to get really weird. Also, Powell is kind of trapped. You know, they've really got Powell on the ropes. He can't do anything. And can you imagine what would happen if Powell was put back into office in February? His term is up in February, and you imagine he may tighten things because of all the inflation. And so there's another nail in his coffin about getting nominated. I don't think he's going to get nominated for that reason alone. All right, Douglas says, let's check out the dollar CAD. I think that went into a buy, didn't it? Let's just see the fact check spreadsheet right there. Oh, I hate when it does that. There we are. Line 20, dollar CAD. Yeah, we're 5 weeks in a sell, and 1 day in a buy. Let's check that out. Woo, that's a big spike. That's a daily, that's not a weekly. Let's check it out over here. Woo! Yeah, it went into that buy there yesterday. Put that line in there. Wow. And, you know, normally we interpret that as like a weak gold and a weak oil sector, but I don't think they're weak. just go take a look at that. But look, just to reiterate. Oh, and look at this. We're climbing over the weekly too at the same time. Today's Thursday, so we're not far off now. They close like this tomorrow night. We're in a weekly buy. So, whoop, wrong color, right there. There we go. So now let's drift over to where are we going to go? Take a look at crude oil and gold. Right there. So there's nat gas, and nat gas is lifting up in price. It's been in a daily sell for a few days there, and it's in a weekly sell for like 3 weeks. But let's take a look at crude oil right there. There's December crude, and it's moving down. Okay, so that matches up to the Canadian. Now let's go take a look at gold. Gold is lifting up, so not much of a worry there. Matter of fact, that's a little curious there. I need to check that price there for yesterday. Something doesn't look right there. AUD CAD, we can check that out. I just want to double check something first on the gold. You know what? I can save the gold. We'll come back to it after we're done the currencies. Let's see. Which one is it? You want Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD. There it is right there. It's doing a little bouncy thing up. You can see we've been in a weekly buy for 2 full weeks. This is the 3rd week now. See that right there. We went into the weekly buy there. Let's check out, let's see it on J4X real quick. Aussie CAD. Right there. So you can see it's been in a daily sell. It's been doing this fall. We went to a daily sell rate. Oop. Let's grab one of these reds. We'll make a new red. So we went in the daily sell there off of that big slide down, and we've been in a daily sell throughout the, for 10 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. This is the 8th day now. We're in a sell, but the weekly won't break down. But you can see the super on there, the 5, is breaking down, and we'll see how that plays out by tomorrow. Don't really get too aggressive with this until we get both the weekly and daily in, unless you're trading the binaries or the options. Okay. But right now, Aussie CAD is pressing. It's trying to press up today, and you can see it. Where's the J4X? Right there. It hasn't started yet, but it will. It'll start to move up because it'll start to join in with the daily here. That action right there. Let's see. Middle Age says I want to close some gold long at 1875 yesterday, but it didn't make it. Yeah, it was close. What did it do? Get 60 something? Let's just jump over to gold. I think it went to 60 something. I thought of you when I saw it in this, or 71 maybe. I want to say gold went to 71 yesterday. Let me just double check. That's why I wanted to look that up anyway, so this works out perfect. Metals, gold, December. Yeah, it went to 70 and change. Yesterday's high was 70.6, a little under 71. I remember seeing that and thinking of you, and thinking, this thing wants to really battle its way to the $19 area, and there it is right there. So let me just double check that. Yeah, 34. Okay, so that's wrong. That needs to be fixed. Doc's gonna fix that. Let's see, where is it at? Let's do this. Let's minimize that. Oh no, I can do this. I can move this up and get it out of our faces. There? Or is it down here? Where's it at? It's down there. Okay. So let me just fix the gold, because the gold is definitely wrong. Did that? No, cancel. Gold is definitely wrong. I almost hit the wrong button there and deleted everything. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, they're giving us some bad numbers in yesterday's action. Let me just double check that. That's what I wanted to look at, so that worked out well. Okay. There we go. All right, that fixes that. Let's minimize that, and let's close that. And you're going to see open workspace, and we're going to see it correct. Let's go over to here. There we are. Alright, let's smooth that out. Yeah, that's better. That's the way it should be. So you can see we're going higher again today, but we're not taking out that 70.6 yet. What's today's high? Today's high is 68. You know, I kind of, you know, if we weren't seeing such a strong dollar, I would, you know, I'd be saying, oh, you know, no problems. You know, this thing's going to run to 1900. I don't think I have any analogies at this moment in time. In other words, what we've been used to looking at, I think we have to look a little bit more suspicious, you know, because of the inflation. That's going to have a much more aggressive situation. People are going to, you know, managers are going to be doing a lot of different things. Middle Age says, what do you think about it hitting 19? That's what I said to you, like, what, Monday? I said that on Monday. I thought when you said you were going to start loosening up at 18 and a half, I said I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to 19 and a half. I have and also I've been re-emphasizing this over and over again, and that is that I have a hard time believing that the Federal Reserve can hold the metals complex down for the time being. Not with all this inflation, because it would make. See, the problem is that the central banks cannot hold the metals complex down. You know, in other words, hold gold and silver and so forth down, because it will make them look foolish. I mean, all the money managers in the world know we have inflation now. China is on a 26-year high. We're on a 31-year high. So, a lot, you know, forcing these metals down at the moment, like the way they normally do, looks really foolish and could lose confidence. In other words, there could be some loss of confidence, and that's the one thing. The thing that would create major problems is if all the money managers all of a sudden said, "Oh no, I don't have any confidence in this, and I want out." And so that's why, you know, in a normal, healthy, free market world, gold is at $4,000 right now, you know, $5,000 right now. But in a manipulated, you know, controlled central system that we have going on across the planet, instead we have gold fighting to try to get to 1900. And you know, it could literally be like going through a jungle with a machete. You know, it's going to be very hard for it to climb up into the 19s. But I think it has all the potential to do it, in my head. As long as we're in a daily buy and a weekly buy, you got to be kind of bullish, you know. And you see this time manifold here? See if we can widen this. I'm going to show you one of my magical tricks. And that is that the fact that you notice when a time manifold, when the histogram breaks underneath the time manifold, notice you get the weakness. It may not have gone too far down, but it went down. Same thing here. You know, it didn't go down far, but it goes down. Once it gets underneath this area here, where it closes underneath it right there, notice there's pressure on it on the downside. And that's the normal, just the same thing in reverse. So, you know, if this histogram starts to go underneath the golden line there, the plus time manifold, and we start to see this histogram breaking down, then you have to just take your profits. But if this thing wants to marry the top side of this time manifold, then you've got a good chance of selling out at 19. And see, that's the touchy, sensitive side of this whole thing. And that's the way Doc's math works. You know, it's very clear when that happens. I hope that makes sense to you. All right, let's take a look at silver since we're over in this neighborhood, and we just left, Canadian. Boy, what a move that is on the Canadian. Huh? That's the Aussie Canadian, and you can see here silver doing the same thing, marching along pretty firm and fine. Pretty steady. 4 weeks in a buy. It doesn't want to let go. Robin and I were looking at the physical this morning. They're quoting it as much as high as $38 to $40 an ounce on the physical, and that's the next weird thing. I mean, we see a trade on the exchange floors for one price, but the physical market is way different. Yeah, that's the way I see it at the moment. I really do. You know what? You can never go wrong taking some profits. And so I mean that's I think you told me you already sold some out, so at least you locked in some money. And I think that as long as we're in a weekly buy, I just have to believe that there's better opportunity on the upside than down. All right, let's see what it looks like over on J4X. Right there, there's the gold. You can see it's marching. It's marching. It's not letting go. I guess if anything, use the J4X, during the day watching the action. Use the combination that I do with the two stochastics, the fast and the slow. Yeah, see, you already sold some. So you've locked some dollars in. So you can hold on a little bit. You can have some stops with the physical underneath. Turn it into a synthetic short, and then. But you don't want to do that until you see it break down. So why don't you watch during the trading day, or look at the when you're not tuning into the webinar, or the webinar's over with. Look at the fast and slow moving stochastic against the daily, and maybe even the intraday. Just to get a little teeny flavor of what's going on, because that's going to be maybe an hour or two behind Doc, but it's going to be more accurate. If you're looking at it at 5 hours from now, that'll be the way to see it. All right, from there, let's march over to, that's the metals we were talking about. Now we're going to go take a look at the South African Rand, and we'll look at the Russian ruble and so forth. Let's see, right there. South African Rand. Right there. As you see there, it is trying to dip down. I mean, we're seeing strong metals complex. I'm surprised it even did that spike. And you can see we're still in that weekly though. None of this is doing what it had normally done. When the gold is doing well, this product is normally going down, but not this time. Whoa, what did I do? I just put it in the wrong spot. So, that's where we are. We're at a situation now where you can't count on looking at pairs trades and so forth to see where the possible action in the future is going in these products. I think this inflation factor is going to take a while for them to, adjust the new channels and ranges and so forth. That's the way I look at it. Let's see. So there's the ruble. Now ruble couldn't get into the buy because it was both a red and a green yesterday, and it's showing a little weakness here today. The weekly is very close to trying to climb over the top, and we'll see how this rolls if it keeps on rolling over. But I guess hope is eternal. Maybe the news that I was talking about at the very beginning, and that is that we're seeing Russian gas now go into Europe, and the price of natural gas has dropped 50%, and maybe that's what we're really seeing. Let's see. Now, let's take a look at the yen. See how the yen looks. Right there. There's the end. You can see the firmness in here through our quantitative analysis. Dailies and daily buy for 1 day, and it seems to be holding up. And that weekly buy, you know, it's been since like the 110 area. So, you know, 109 and 3/4, something like that, 109 area, and it has run to the 114 area. So it's been consistent on the weekly trend, pushing up, up, and up. And you can see over here on J4X. Oh, okay, you can't see that. Let's do this. And then there it is right there. And then you can see over on J4X, you know, same situation. The strength is kicking up on the daily. Let's see what it looks like on the weekly. It has to be the same way as ours. I'm sure there's a lot of green. Lots of green, yeah, see, lots of green. Just like our map. Yeah, because our buy is all the way back in here. So, and it's doing the same thing back in there. All right, where do we go? Oh, I know, as we look at the Mexican peso. Let's see how the Mexican peso is doing. Right there. Seems like there's a lot of strength in that thing. That action that we had seen in the peso, you know, it had a lot of life to it. And now I guess with the inflation, we over the years, I want to say, I remember over the decades, you know, trading, you know, the different currencies. And, you know, I remember back in the 70s and the 80s, the inflation really took a real pounding to the, you know, to the Mexican peso. I remember that. So it's probably having a strong effect there now. And then you can see how it caught on, it picked up on it. It rationalized the inflation was more important. You can see the way we kept on moving up, making higher lows over the last, you know, since the announcement. You know, when we go back, you see here when we started seeing some interesting action out of nowhere, these blips, I guess you could call them. That's why we put circles around them. Was that they in June when they talked about when the Federal Reserve declared transitory inflation, money started to move. You know, and then it would calm down, and then it would do it again after another month and a half. And now that the affirmation or confirmation that it is, it's definitely higher lows. The range is pushing up. You know, it's not the best. Now you can see here the weekly went into a sell off of this, and this is holding down at the moment. So we'll see if this just zigzags and this could become the range for the time being right here. There to something like there. That would not surprise me if that becomes the new range, and they flirt with the top side of it when they get nervous. You got to figure that there's going to be this trend in that direction. You know, the pressure is going to be on because inflation. You know, one of the strongest things I've seen so far that makes sense is that this is not now that the central banks are respecting the fact that this is not transitory. You have to figure that this is going to go on at least until 2023. You know, February and March 2023. Maybe the markets will anticipate. You know, after November of 2022. You know, if everything turns out the way we think it's going to turn out, that could be the top of the inflation. You know, the beginning of the top of the inflation. Let's put it that way. That could be the beginning of the top of the inflation. So we have. Basically, we have 11 and a half, 12 months of this action still. All right. Now, let's jump over to, let's see where we go from here. Let's take a look at, oh, that's it. That's the end of the pairs. If anybody wants to see pairs, just yell. We'll check them out, you know. You know, we'll take a look at that. But, yeah, that's probably the new range right there. That's probably going to be it. All right, let's drift over to, normally we go and kind of stare at the metals complex a little bit more intensely and the oil complex. So let's take a look at crude oil right there. There is, you know, it's moving down December crude, and we're underneath now, definitely. It looks like we're going to go into a weekly sell with this type of action. A little surprising, but that's the way the markets are. Sometimes it just does what it wants to do. I can't tell it to stop. It will do what it wants, and we just try to tell you what we read out of it. And right now, they're showing us the pressure. Now let's just show you what January looks like. We have a client now. Is it January? No, June. We have a client now involved in June oil. So I'm going to have that contract for a while to look at. So that's going to be kind of neat. And you can see here it's breaking down, and it's even more consistent. Notice here, we went into the weekly buy on 8/27. And when we look at the front month, right there, it went into the weekly buy at 9/10. So it's at 2 weeks beforehand. So that's interesting how the back months are operating there. And let me just go take a look at the beginning of that contract. Where we're at right now live. Right, where's it at? Right there. There's the June contract, and it went into a weekly sell a week ago. So it made it into the weekly sell a week ago, and looks like we're trying to roll over a daily sell now for just one full day, going on a second day. So that's going to be one of the insightfuls we're going to be looking at, which I think is kind of neat. Here's natural gas for December. You can see here that the product is doing its best to battle. Let's see what that is. And so, it's trying to show a little life. Interesting. You can see here, there's the daily. If it closes like this, it'll go into a daily buy, but the weekly is still pressing on it. So, and let's go back a little bit and take a look at the Jan. I know we have a Jan contract. Right there, there's January. That's pushing into a buy. We had the volatility signal yesterday, and we've been in a weekly sell on that for 3 weeks, just like we are in the front month. Let's just show you. Yeah, so not much of a difference on the nat gas. All right, from here, let's take a look at. And let's take a look at the heating oil too. There's January heating oil, and it is downwardly sloping, and it's been in a daily sell for 2 days, and you can see it slid into a weekly sell last week. So, this is the right now the Northeast is not having problems, but there is talk of a big burst of cold air come down from the north. Did the daily quant in corn get into a buy, Doc? Let's check that out. I think it did. Let's see, where's that? That should be it right there. Right, yeah. Open workspace. Right there. There we go. Alright, let's clean that up. And you can see here, that's meal. And there's December corn. So it climbed in a daily buy yesterday. Had that volatility signal 2 days ago. You can see we've been in a weekly buy for a while there. Now we have the same client as, check this out. We have a client looking at September corn. Check this out. Where's it at? There it is. Sep corn. Check out Sep corn. Looking very firm. No volatility signal here. With just if we were running a 5, I guess, it might have pushed it right into. Let's see what the 5 looks like there on a daily. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's put the 5 in there. That, like that, and like that. Let's see what the 5 is doing. Nah, that's interesting. So the 5 didn't push in. What's nice though is notice how when the 5 breaks underneath the green line, you have the downwardly pressure. Notice when it finally lifts through that green line, you have the upward pressure. It's almost like the way we do the J4X with the fast-moving stochastic and a slow-moving one. In this case here, it's a 5 gas versus a 3 gas. And you can see it jumps across here, and there's lots of strength. You see when it breaks down right there, with the blue underneath the green, that's that day right there. A day later, it closes lower, and then it goes into a sell the next day from there. Yeah, it couldn't do that. So that's kind of one of the interesting things, watching the combination of those two. So over on the deck, same situation. See where the blue, the 5 super is on this one. There we are. Yeah, so once it climbs above that, you know that you got some buying going on, that's for sure. Just like right here tells you that we're going to have some selling, and then right there you're going to have some buying, and then even with this little ziggy-zaggy, that shows you some selling, and then I guess it tries to get through there. Here, there's your buying, and then here's your selling. You can see the downwardly bias. Just interesting to look at our math. Our math has so much insight in so many different ways. There are so many tools that can be garnered from our math. You know, it always fascinates me that, you know, how many bullets I have for my gun. It's amazing. You know, it's, you know, how many swords do I have? All right, let's jump over to, let's see, we did that. Where were we before? Oh, I know, we were looking at the energies. Let's just go back over to gold and platinum now, since we just got done the energies. Let's see, where's it at? Right here. I want to see where platinum is today. Right there, there's Jan Platinum. And you know what? Oh, this doesn't have a super. I was going to say, I wonder what the super's doing. You can see it's trying to battle its way up at this point. Lots of red though. Notice red dots, but we did get to almost 11. We got 1100 yesterday. We talked about that yesterday too. The whole idea that it might get up to that area. Again, I was thinking we'd see 19 too on gold. So we're holding our breath and seeing, you know, wishing muscle, middle-aged muscle, some trading wishes. All right, where do we go from here? And then we looked at the silver, and the silver's doing just fine right there. And then, you know, there's the gold. So, lots of pressure on the metals complex, and logically so, because that's one of the places people run to when we have inflation scares. You have inflation scares, you got to go somewhere that's safe. You know what's kind of interesting? Let's go over to cryptos. They talked about there's the spot month, the November month in Bitcoin, and it's holding up. Okay, yeah. So today it's flirting with the daily buy finally. It's been in a daily buy for a couple days here, and it's been in a weekly buy since back in October, since the 45,000 area. So we've gone from 45 to 68,000, $23,000, almost a 50% move on the upside, close to it. All right, matter of fact, it's better than 50%. From 45 to 68, it's a little better than a 50% move. It's a pretty good move, and we're still in that buy. It's not letting go, and obviously, you know, we all hope that these cryptos become real legitimate tools for inflation, because that's the one thing we've been hoping for a long time, is having an alternative to something that the central banks can't manipulate. We all know in our hearts that gold and silver are undervalued. We know they are. I mean, if you can, you know, have, you know, basically, you know, all these stocks trading in the $300, $400, and $500 area, why can't they get the gold at least up into, you know, something realistic? I mean, we hit the $2,000 area back in 2010 or 2011, something like that. How can we be trading underneath those numbers after all these years? There's only one way that can happen, and that is that the central banks are holding it down. They surely are not, you know, propping it up. So that is the the one thing that always sticks out in my mind is that we're not seeing the real value of risk. You know, that's the problem. Is that's real disturbing. The fact that we don't see the real value of risk. So that is where we're at there. Okay, now let's see, what else can we talk about here? So we've gone through the metals complex and the oils. Let's take a quick look at the stock indices. They're just turning around like, no problem. We have no worries, you know. No worry, be happy. There's the NASDAQ 100. You know, they're lifting it up. We're still in daily sales for 3 days, so that's not too bad. But our weeklies are firm. Looking at the S&P 500, right there. Again, same situation. You know, in a daily sell for going on a 3rd day, and the weekly is very firm. They're not really that fast to throw away the stocks. And then you can see there, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it went into the daily sell yesterday, and it's up a little. I understand that there's some pressure on Disney, one of the stocks in it. So that's the only thing holding it down at the moment is the Disney stock. Or you can see over here. Let's see what we can do. Let's just show you where it's at right now. Right there. You can see it right there's the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and as you can see, the product is up 25 points. That's all. But all the other products, since of that pressure, you can see the S&P 500 is up 16 points, which is a lot. That's like the Dow being up 160 points. So we're seeing a lot more buying in the other two indices. And then you can see right here, when it comes to the NASDAQ 100 or Tech 100 on Dukascopy, it's up 113 points. Now, no doubt, it was down over 300 points on yesterday, so there was some real pressure there in that sector. And it doesn't seem to be anything less at this point in time, except for the fact that all of a sudden, no worries, inflation's here, we're going to take the markets up. And that's what they're doing. So, what else we got to say? I guess that's about it. I guess we're going to go singing our way out of this. And we will see everybody tomorrow, same time, same channel. So this is Doc from North America saying happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be TGIF. Happy trails to you, to all our Dukascopy and Chicago Quant trading friends and world friends. So ta-ta traders, catch you on the flip side.